I stood there in the kitchen, the cold tile floor seeping through my socks, as Emily's voice pierced the air like a shard of glass. "It's all your fault, Mom. You ruined my marriage. If you'd just stayed out of it, Jake and I would still be together." Her words hung heavy, a betrayal that twisted my gut, making me question every choice I'd made as a mother. My own flesh and blood, blaming me for the wreckage of her life, until that video surfaced, flipping everything on its head. Before I unravel the tangled threads of how it all fell apart and came back together, I want to gently ask you to subscribe to this channel and tap the like button. These stories are shared every day, and if you've ever felt the crushing weight of family betrayal or the slow climb back to self-worth, know that this space is for you. You're not walking this path alone. Let's go back to where it started, 3 years ago in the heart of suburban Dallas, Texas, where the summers scorched the earth and winters brought a deceptive chill. I was 35 then, navigating life as a single mom with a job as an event planner for a local convention center. My days were filled with coordinating corporate retreats, wedding expos, and holiday parties. Endless checklists, vendor calls, and last-minute crises like faulty microphones or missing centerpieces. I'd drive my reliable Toyota Camry through rush-hour traffic on I-35, sipping coffee from Whataburger, mentally juggling budgets and timelines while worrying about Emily's latest drama. Emily was my world. Born when I was barely 19 after a whirlwind romance with her father, a musician named Ryan who promised forever but vanished when the responsibility hit. I'd raised her alone in our cozy 3-bedroom ranch house, the one I'd bought with a down payment from waitressing tips and a small inheritance from my grandparents. We had our routines. Saturday mornings at the farmer's market picking out fresh peaches, evenings curled up with popcorn watching The Bachelor on ABC, laughing at the dramatic rose ceremonies. She had my hazel eyes and dimpled smile, but her personality was a spark, creative, impulsive, always doodling fashion designs or editing videos on her iPhone. It was a humid May afternoon when Jake entered the picture. Emily, fresh out of high school at 18, had started working part-time at a boutique in the Galleria Mall. Jake was 22, a sales associate at the adjacent sporting goods store, with tousled blonde hair, a jawline that could cut glass, and a Texas twang that charmed everyone. They met during a lunch break at the food court, bonding over Chick-fil-A sandwiches, and shared complaints about retail life. By evening, Emily was texting me. "Met this guy today. He's cute and funny. Thinks my art is amazing." I was cautious but optimistic. "Bring him over sometime," I replied, stirring spaghetti sauce on the stove while the radio played Taylor Swift. A week later, he came for dinner, barbecue ribs from the smoker in the backyard, corn on the cob, and coleslaw. Jake was polite, shaking my hand firmly, complimenting the house. "Mrs. Harper, this spread is better than my grandma's," he said with a wink. Emily giggled and I smiled, but I noticed how he avoided questions about his family. "Estranged," he muttered, changing the subject to football. Their romance accelerated like a pickup truck on an empty highway. Dates at Topgolf, picnics at White Rock Lake, late-night drives blasting country tunes from Blake Shelton. Emily bloomed under his attention, her sketches turning to wedding dresses and dream homes. "Mom, he's the one," she confided one night as we folded laundry, the dryer humming in the background. "He makes me feel special." I hugged her, but worry crept in. He seemed possessive, texting her constantly, questioning her outfits. "Just protective," she defended when I mentioned it. By fall, they were engaged. Jake proposed at a Dallas Cowboys game, on the Jumbotron during halftime, ring from Jared sparkling under the stadium lights. Emily called me from the stands, screaming with joy. "Say you're happy for us." I was truly, but the speed unnerved me. She deferred college. "I'll go later." And they planned a winter wedding. I threw myself into helping, venue scouting at rustic barns outside the city, dress fittings at David's Bridal where Emily twirled in satin, caterers quoting prices for brisket and mac and cheese. My credit card groaned under the weight, deposits, flowers from Costco, even Jake's tux rental. Tensions simmered during prep. Jake clashed with me over details. Why so fancy? Let's keep it cheap, he'd say, eyeing the budget spreadsheet on my laptop. Emily mediated, but I saw her stress, biting her nails, a habit from childhood. One evening, as we addressed invitations over wine, she snapped. Mom, stop questioning everything. Jake says you're too controlling. I bit my tongue, remembering my own mother's warnings about Ryan. I just want the best for you, I said softly. The wedding day dawned clear and cold in December, guests bundled in coats at the outdoor chapel in Grapevine. Emily walked the aisle on my arm. Her request, a tearjerker moment. Vows exchanged under an arch of twinkle lights, Jake promising to cherish her forever. Reception followed at a nearby hall. Line dancing to Garth Brooks, cake cutting with buttercream frosting smudged on noses. I toasted them with champagne, voice steady. To love that endures. As they drove off in his decorated truck, horns blaring, I felt a mix of joy and loss, waving until they disappeared. Post-honeymoon, a weekend in Austin, they settled into an apartment complex in Irving, close to Jake's new job at an auto parts warehouse. I'd visit with homemade enchiladas or Target hauls of household essentials. How's Bliss? I'd ask, sitting at their Formica table. Emily would smile, but shadows lurked. Good. Adjusting. Jake worked overtime. She waitressed at Olive Garden, endless breadsticks and salads. The first crack appeared in February. Emily called late, voice shaky. We fought. He got mad because I talked to a guy at work. I listened, heart aching. Communication is key, honey. Maybe counseling. She laughed it off. It's fine. But calls multiplied. He threw his phone when I asked about late nights. He grabbed my arm, didn't mean to bruise it. Alarm bells rang. I researched domestic abuse on my phone during lunch breaks at work, reading articles from the National Domestic Violence Hotline, stomach churning. One Sunday, I arrived unannounced with groceries, milk, eggs, her favorite cereal. The door was ajar. Inside, yelling. Jake towered over Emily in the living room, face flushed. You're always on your phone. Who is it? She cowered, tears streaming. I burst in. Stop. Leave her alone. He whirled. Mind your business, Sarah. But I stood firm. She's my daughter. Emily pushed between us. Mom, go. You're making it worse. That night, she texted. Don't come over anymore. Jake's upset. Hurt stabbed deep. I paced my kitchen, sipping tea, flashbacks to Ryan's temper flooding back, him slamming doors, me packing bags in the night. I couldn't let history repeat. I started documenting. Screenshots of texts, photos of bruises she sent accidentally. For your safety, I told her in a voicemail she ignored. Spring brought escalation. Emily showed up at my door at midnight, suitcase in hand, eye blackening. He hit me, Mom. During an argument about money. I held her as she sobbed on the couch. Ice pack pressed to her face. You're staying here. We'll get help. We talked till dawn. Her admitting his jealousy, control, the isolation from friends. I called a lawyer friend for advice, researched shelters. But 2 days later, Jake arrived with flowers from Kroger, apologies flowing. Baby, I love you. It won't happen again. Emily wavered, then left with him. He promised therapy. Devastated, I threw myself into work, planning a big tech conference, coordinating speakers and booths. But nights were hell, lying awake scrolling Facebook, seeing their happy posts. Lisa, my best friend from book club, dragged me to Zumba classes at the YMCA. You can't fix her, Sarah. She has to see it. But a mother's instinct screamed otherwise. Then, the cheating revelation. Emily confided over a rare coffee meetup at Starbucks. I found messages on his phone. From a girl at work. Tears plopped into her latte. I hugged her. Leave him. You deserve better. But she hesitated. He says it's nothing. I pressed. This is abuse, emotional, physical. She stormed out. You always hate my choices. Silence followed. Weeks without contact. I'd drive by their apartment, heart pounding, but never stop. Mother's Day came. No card, no call. I spent it alone with a Hallmark movie marathon, tissues piled high. At work, I faked cheer, but my boss noticed. Take time off if needed. I didn't. The divorce filing hit in summer. Emily texted. It's over. Coming home. She arrived broken, possessions in trash bags. I welcomed her. No, I told you so. We rebuilt slowly. Job applications on Indeed, therapy appointments via telehealth. But blame seeped in. If you'd supported us, maybe he'd have changed, she'd mutter over breakfast tacos. You meddled from day one. The peak came one stormy evening. Argument erupted over dinner. Takeout from Panda Express. You raised me to be suspicious. No wonder Dad left you alone. Her words gutted me. I retreated to my room, sobbing into pillows. How had my love turned to poison in her eyes? Fate intervened the next day. Emily's phone buzzed while she showered. A video attachment from an anonymous number, likely a co-worker of Jake's. Curiosity won. She watched, then called me in, face ashen. Mom, look. The video was security footage from Jake's warehouse, compiled clips with audio. Him with the affair partner, laughing. Emily's such a pushover. Her mom's the real problem. Sarah keeps filling her head with crap. More. Him ranting about getting rid of the old lady's influence. Admitting he'd married for stability, while planning to drain her savings. Worst. Scenes of violence, shoving her against walls, verbal tirades. You're worthless, just like your mom said you'd be. Emily collapsed, wailing. He manipulated me. And I blamed you? We clung together, forgiveness washing over us like rain. I'm sorry, Mom. I was blind. Realization sparked change. Emily pressed charges. The video evidence led to Jake's arrest for assault. Court dates followed. Me by her side in the Dallas County Courthouse, holding her hand as the judge issued a restraining order. Jake lost his job, slunk back to his hometown. Comeback unfolded. Emily re-enrolled in community college, pursuing marketing like me. I encouraged her, helping with essays late at night. We bonded anew. Spa days at home with face masks from Ulta, road trips to San Antonio for the Alamo and Riverwalk strolls. I quit my high-stress job, started freelancing events from home. Weddings, birthdays, more balance. Revenge was subtle but sweet. I anonymously tipped Jake's new employer about the video. He was fired again. Emily started a blog about surviving abuse, empowering others. At 38 now, life feels renewed. Dates via Hinge, yoga in the park, Emily thriving. That video didn't just expose him, it healed us. Betrayal cuts deep, but truth mends. And empowerment? It's the sweetest victory.